Mother Knows Death, starring Nicole and Jemmy and Maria QK.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mother Knows Death. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about a celebrity who claims that she does not drink water ever, the Starbucks disfigurement lawsuit, Reddit cracking down on Luigi content, and dogs who do cocaine. Let's get started with this celebrity that claims that she doesn't drink any water.
Well, it's Tori Spelling, and she went on her podcast and she claimed she doesn't drink any water ever. She compared herself to a cactus and said,
I've said this before, right? I say the same exact thing to Gabe. I always say to him, like, listen, think of me as a plant. Like, there's some plants that need to stay moist all the time. And then there's like a cactus that you could ignore for weeks and you don't have to give it any water. That's how I feel like I am. I feel like I'm a plant version of a person.
I mean, listen, she said she has an aversion to this, and a lot of people have a problem with this, but we understand this more than anybody. I mean, I hate drinking plain water. It skeeves me out, honestly. Thank God for club soda and just like sparkling water in general, because it's the only way I get water in, which some people argue is not drinking water. But what do you want me to do? Like, we didn't grow up drinking water.
I know. And this is how I feel like it might have started. This is the thing, though, that the argument is not equal because Gabe arguably grew up around the same time as I did, and he drinks like so much water every day. So for me personally, when I grew up in the 80s, it was like there was no such thing as water bottles. I was just telling my now girl this actually last week that bottled water didn't exist when I was a child. And I remember specifically when I was around 12 years old, which would have been about 1991-ish, that I went to the store up the street, like a bodega type place up the street from my house, and I saw bottled water being sold next to soda and stuff. And I remember going home and telling my dad, and my dad was just like, "What kind of stupid ass would ever pay money for water in a bottle?" Haha. It was like a big joke, right? And now it's everywhere. But we didn't even have water bottles like that you would use for sports and stuff. It just like wasn't a thing. When my mom sent me to school with my lunch, I got like a pouch of Capri Sun for the day and that was it. And like went out to school for recess and ran around and they would just be like, "All right, well, if you're thirsty, you have to drink out of the water fountain." Well, the water fountain was like skivatch, so I didn't want to do that. It smelled weird and I wasn't into it. So I got by my entire life drinking a pouch of Capri Sun every single day at school and that was it. Right? And then it's the same thing when we were doing sports and everything like that, like it just was a totally different culture back then. We just didn't have they did have one of those coolers in the dugout and then they would have those little cone paper cups for us to drink out of. So you got like a shot of water basically, right? I just got accustomed to that, which actually worked out to my advantage working in the lab because we weren't allowed to have drinks at work. And if you sit in a room that you're not allowed to have a drink at all day, it's a good thing that you're accustomed to not drinking water. And also that means that the benefit is that you don't have to pee that much. But you're definitely like chronically dehydrated, you know?
Yeah, I mean, my coworkers at the bar used to always make fun of me because, I didn't go into work till what, like, I don't even know. On a Saturday, I wouldn't even go into work till 5 o'clock at night. So I'd wake up, I'd have a coffee, I'd drink like one can of club soda, and then I'd show up to work with like a 20-ounce iced coffee, and I would drink that, and maybe before midnight, I'd have half of a club soda. And they're like, we don't understand how you're not dead.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even know if I've ever drank a full can of fizzy like my entire life. Really. It's just I just can't drink 12 ounces of fluid in one sitting. It's just really difficult for me. And it's actually like let's have a therapy session right now. It's something I struggle with every day of my life because I know obviously what happens when you're dehydrated, and I have symptoms of it often because I'm probably dehydrated every day and I have to force myself to drink water every single day. And sometimes it'll be like 9 o'clock at night and I'm like, oh my God, I only drank half a bottle of water all day. and then really then I get stressed out because I chug a ton of water to rehydrate myself so I don't get a headache or something, but then I'm up every hour peeing all night. Like, it's just a terrible cycle of it, and I don't know if it's I kinda think it's equivalent to, like, you ever hear of these people that are just like, it's 7 o'clock at night, like, "Oh, I didn't really eat yet today." And you're like, "Why can't that happen to me? I wish I could just, like, not have it on my mind." I guess it's the same kinda thing, like, I just don't have it on my mind. It's just
Listen,
I don't
the
know.
the eating could never be me. Like sometimes my husband gets home from work at 7 o'clock at night and he's like, "Yeah, I didn't eat breakfast and I just didn't have time to get lunch today, so I just ate like a small pack of crackers this morning." And I'm like, I would drop dead if I didn't have at least two full blown meals by 7 p.m. So I don't know.
I'm
I'm
kinda
the
like
same
that
way.
too. When I wake up, I'm just I would rather eat, like, I could eat 800 calories in the morning and just never eat the rest of the day and be fine, but I'm, like, ravenous in the morning. But it's also so another thing is that, like, your body might be telling you that you're hungry when really you're just dehydrated. So
Well,
there's,
you
like,
eat
all
dinner
these
at
other
like
things that go with it.
4:30. You eat dinner at like 4:30, so of course by the time you wake
That
up in
that's
the
that's the
morning.
I but that's the ideal time to eat, so your body is not digesting while you're sleeping. You should never eat past that time. But so she was saying in this podcast that she drinks, like, what does she drink? Mountain Dew and or not
No,
Mountain
she
Dew,
said she
ginger ale.
drinks Diet Dr. Pepper, which is disgusting. Ginger ale, which I could get behind because I think ginger ale is like the most magical medicine in the world
Did you
for
ever have
nausea.
ginger club soda?
Yeah, I'm drinking one right now. And
Yeah,
ginger beer is
it's real
good.
yeah, but the ginger club soda doesn't have any calories or sugar in it. That one's like I don't know, that one is really good, but you can't drink soda as a substitute for water. That's really, really terrible.
I mean, right now I'm drinking one called a ginger lime mule, and that one's really
Oh, yeah, that one is
delicious.
good. You could in theory say, well, they use water to make Dr. Pepper and to make coffee and to make tea, but
But
it
there's
just
syrups and all this
yeah,
other
and
stuff in it.
chemicals, and it's just really bad. And I mean, you kind of look at her and you're like, you don't exactly look like the picture of health either. I mean, listen, I don't want to drink water, but I force myself to because it's just the right thing to do. But I would much rather drink a coffee or tea drink all day, but tea especially can give you kidney stones if you drink it in that amount. So,
Well, tea
um,
can also disfigure your penis severely, like in this next story.
yes, exactly. All right, let's get into that.
All right, so this delivery driver in California went to a Starbucks drive-through, and so he was picking up an order to drop off. And when he gets there, the barista hands him one of those little trays filled with hot drinks, and then one of the drinks, which was a hot tea, spilled on his lap and ended up disfiguring his penis.
All right, so my first question is like, do you think that the temperature is just too hot at fast food coffee places?
I think for the tea, yes. At Starbucks in particular, yes, the tea.
Like we're out so many times and I'm like, "Oh, you know what? Like I could go for a matcha." And we stop by Starbucks and we get it. This is at what, like 2 o'clock, and then it was like 3:30 when I could finally drink it. It's so freaking hot. I always wondered like why it has to be so hot. Isn't it in the case like when most people are going to buy coffee, they want to have it right then and there?
Well, I used to have this complaint about Dunkin' a lot because I would get a coffee on my way to work, and by the time I got to work, it was still not even, I couldn't even drink it. It was so hot. And I'm like, what is the point? I wanted it for like I want it now. When you get it now, you want it then.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too, and especially like I feel like there's a cutoff time. So, like right now, for example, I feel like okay, it's like later in the afternoon. I feel like okay, I want a coffee or I want a tea or a hot drink or something. Well, by the time it's ready to drink, now let's get it into like okay, this is too close to bedtime. Like I want it now. I don't want it then. So anyway, I think, and if you recall, that there was a huge lawsuit with McDonald's over the temperature of the coffee, which burned a woman, which I think she kind of set the precedent for this to be a thing back in the day when that happened. Do you remember that specific case that,
Of
Mc-
course I do because Seinfeld did an episode making fun of it.
so in that case, McDonald's was responsible for having the coffee itself hotter than it should have been, and that was what was cause of the burns. This case is a little bit different and it's more interesting because they obviously have video at the drive-through that shows the barista putting the tea into the cup holder and not pushing it in all the way and making sure it was securely in. And I mean, listen, like this lady is responsible for her company having to pay $50 million for that mistake. That's outrageous.
I don't know. I want to come in just as for the barista because I've gotten trays of drinks from Starbucks before, and I don't find their trays to be particularly that great. And I want to also say I've noticed when I've gotten really hot drinks there that it like borderline melts the lid to the point where the lid is not secure enough on the cup because of how hot the drink is. And is that the barista's fault for the drink being that hot, or is that the preset temperature that's the company standard?
Well, I think that the temperature definitely has something to do with the lids because of expanding and contracting. I mean, but yes, the steam is so hot that it could actually melt the lid. And this particular drink had like, what was it? Some tea with this steamed lemonade. Like I said before, I don't understand why it has to be so hot. So what happened was this guy goes to get the drinks. And another thing that you could think about too is that most of these drive-throughs, when you're in a car, you're usually lower than the window of the drive-through. So they're handing it from a height, which is probably more dangerous as well. Um Spills this on his lap and gets third-degree burns to his penis and groin and inner thighs so bad that he has to go to a burn center and get 2 skin grafts. So this is like legit changed this man's life forever. Anytime you get surgery on your penis, you're going to lose a lack of sensation, and having to get skin grafts on a large portion of your penis could really be devastating for erections, it just for all time. Just the appearance of his penis is different. And I'm sorry, but like we all joke like, oh, guy's penis and stuff like that, but like this to me is like a huge deal. Like it's changing his life forever. And I think that it's valid that he's suing them. Especially think about it, like he wasn't even going to get the drink for himself. He was at work.
Well, I want to say, like, I feel like because he sued Starbucks and they had to end up paying him $50 million, that this lawsuit must have uncovered something this couldn't have just been as simple as the barista not securing the drink in. There had to be a much larger issue, which is why the company had to pay out that much money. Because think about it, when they're at Starbucks, it's not like they're heating up the water to a very specific degree and then putting it in the cup. It's attached to the machines. So
No,
that's probably a
they are
temperature.
they are because what let's say they boil tea, that's one thing. But when they're doing a latte or doing like steamed lemonade and stuff, they have thermometers in those little cups when they're heating stuff up. So it has to be to whatever degree they say it is. I don't know because I never worked in the coffee shop, but
Okay, well, if you have a hot water dispenser on one of those machines, it's coming out at a set temperature. Think about your espresso machine at your house. Can you set the temperature that that's coming out?
not
Or
on.
you just pull the
Yeah,
nozzle and it comes out a set temperature. So is that a temperature that's preset on the machines? Is it a temperature that Starbucks as a corporate has
well,
decided?
I like my espresso machine has 3 choices of what temperature to make it. So it could be like really hot, or really, really hot. I don't know what the temperatures are, but like I don't have a $5,000 espresso machine either, so I don't know what they're capable of. But it could just be in that case that she steamed it too hot. But listen, like when you make tea, you're supposed to make tea with near boiling water, which is like over 200 degrees. So you need water that hot in order to brew tea with. And the same with coffee as well. So this isn't going to be 100% avoidable because a lot of times people just get black coffee and they don't get it like watered down with milk and stuff, and it has to be a certain temperature. And with that McDonald's case, they found that it was way hotter than it should have been. I don't know what they uncovered here because they didn't say any of it. Like to me, it looks like the lawsuit was as simple as they have this on tape and this guy like had massive change of life because of these injuries. But maybe somebody that works at Starbucks would be able to tell us because honestly, of course, they did like a whole entire retraining of all the employees that works here because they never want something like this to happen again. And quite frankly, I wouldn't even want to work at the window because I'd be scared to death. I mean, sometimes you might think a person has it and they don't have a grip on it or whatever, and it's just like scary, you know?
Yeah.
Do you think now this is so crazy. So, this was like a Postmates thing, which is like a DoorDash type of thing. So, from the customer's perspective, like they ordered this drink and it just doesn't show up to their house. Like, do you think they have any idea that the drink that they ordered caused all this pain to this guy? Or were they just like, how many times do we order DoorDash or something and like they just don't show up and your order goes missing or something? And you never really know, like, what happened. You're just like, "Oh, okay, like, it's just gone. I'll have to order from somewhere else or whatever."
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they wouldn't know unless the driver told them, which I don't think he's worried about telling them exactly what went
Like,
down.
"Hi, I'm sorry. Please don't give me a bad tip, but I'm on my way to the hospital."
This episode's brought to you by The Gross Room.
Guys, the grocery room is on sale for 365 days for only $20, which is you get a lot of content for that. So we started the grocery room back in 2019 and we post pretty much every day, sometimes a couple times a day since then. So there's thousands of posts there waiting to be read by you. Some of them actually have audio as well. We do a celebrity death dissection or high profile dissection every single week and we do audio with those and I'd say they're usually about 15 to 20 minutes of audio. So in case you just aren't in the mood to read, you could listen to it or you could just listen to it while you're looking at the pictures and stuff. So it's really awesome and there's always something new in the gross room.
Yeah, head over to thegrossroom.com to sign up.
All right, let's talk about Reddit.
Reddit is being accused of censoring content related to Luigi Mangione. Isn't this interesting?
It is interesting to me because I felt like Reddit was always like a safe place that they didn't censor anybody over anything.
Yeah, I would think so too, but over the last like year or so, I've definitely noticed a change where like you used to be able to go on there and like see really gruesome videos or go on pages where people were just like talking about literally anything and you would be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that this is allowed online." And now those pages definitely don't exist anymore. So I think in some regard they've been cracking down on I wanna say, like, more violent things. I definitely noticed with true crime pages, they don't have as graphic of photos anymore, and they certainly don't have certain content, and I think this is just falling under that umbrella.
So the reason that I think it's interesting, I feel like we were talking about this recently that there's groups. I mean, we knew there was Luigi groups on there, but there's also ones for Brian Koberger saying that like women are in love with him and stuff. And I mean, this just this just is like this whole conversation that we have all the time recently, especially with like freedom of speech and what do you consider to be like inciting violence versus not, and this and that. And but not to get into that, but in the grocery room back in 2023, so this was like 2 years ago now, I wrote a post called Sick Minds, and it was because one of the members of the grocery room sent me a link to a subreddit that was called a castration group, okay? So, of course, I was like, "Let me see this because I'm interested in seeing this." And the whole entire group was dedicated to people that wanna cut off their balls. And like this is like not a lie, right? The craziest thing is that there's 12,000 members in this group. 12,000 people and all of the posts talk about either them wanting to cut off their balls or how they did cut off their balls either with a knife or doing chemical castration to themselves with graphic pictures and text. So of
Well,
course I documented all of it in this post because
this is what I'm talking about. So pages like that used to exist, but I don't feel like they do anymore.
well, thank God I screenshot all those. I don't know if they do because it's, like, kinda not my scene to go on those things, but when people send me interesting stuff, I'm always curious about it. I I guess part of the problem with these forums, and I've been saying this forever, is, like, when people have great ideas. So they're great for people like me who like to do gardening and stuff. And it'll say, like, oh, well, when you're trying to grow a plant, you might want to spray the roots with hydrogen peroxide. It's like, oh, cool. Like you get ideas from all people all over. But when people have sick thoughts then these people are all meeting up in the same room and sharing their sick thoughts. So there's ones for child pornography, and there's ones for people that are in love with serial killers and people who think Luigi Mangione is God and all of this stuff, right? So it could get, or people that want to conduct school shootings and just or other kinds of terrorism, So
Well, I guess Reddit
yeah,
is saying that people have every right to talk about Luigi Mangione, but the moderator that got suspended in relationship to this was approving comments that they were saying was, like could turn violent or incite violence. So they weren't in support of that. So I guess what there's been all these groups with Luigi, but there is one called Free Luigi, which has 37,000 members, which is insane to think about. But a couple people on here were talking about how other Luigi Mangione forums had got shut down. But Reddit's saying that if one of the groups got shut down for the violence violation, then if they try to make a similar group with a similar name, it's like on Instagram when you block somebody and they're like, block this person that makes any other accounts, right?
yeah, they
So,
have to have some kind of technology that's picking these people out and what they're saying or certain phrases that they're saying. And
yeah, so they're just trying to like use their AI, I guess, to make sure that everything's staying kosher and not everybody is, going to start this massive riot or people aren't going to just start going out and doing Luigi like actions.
I guess I could see from Reddit's point of view, because what's going to happen is, let's say, for example, in one of these groups, two people were laying out all these things as to why these CEOs should be killed. And then another one gets killed. And then, of course, they're going to go back through this person's social media and everything. And then they're going to see that these conversations took place on Reddit. I mean, like, if that was one of my family members, for example, I'd be looking to go after Reddit as well for allowing the talk to and the contact to even occur over it. So, I mean, and this could be said about, like, God, lots of different things going on in the world right now. So I, there's some responsibility, I guess, for it. It's just like I said, they created all this technology so fast, and now they don't have the resources or the knowledge to get on top of it as fast as people are. Like,
It's just interesting, like, why now? Because I always see Reddit at remember when Lillian Googled what's the dark web? I see Reddit as this weird in between of social media and what we think of as the dark web. It's like this website that exists that is currently running where people could talk about literally anything. But they're clearly implementing a bunch of changes recently because they will be held responsible if something happens eventually.
yeah, and there's been times where we've been talking about certain cases, and we're like, and this would be years ago, that we'd be like, you know what, let's look on Reddit and see if we could find it, because with a traditional Google search, like, we're not able to get this stuff, and then you find it right away. But like you're saying, like, it's not as easy to do anymore.
Yeah, and obviously, like most technology and their tools, like you don't just go on Reddit for bad things, right? Like you could go on there, like you're saying, for gardening tips or cooking or like medical things. I mean, I wouldn't take medical advice, but you could see other people's experiences with certain stuff. But definitely people are going on it for nefarious reasons.
All right, so this next case is so horrible. We didn't report it when it happened because someone's killed at least once a week by a dog. So, like, we're not reporting them unless they're extenuating circumstances, because it would just get boring really quick. But let's talk about it. When did this case happen?
This happened last year. So, a 73-year-old grandma was outside of her condo and she was just, doing old lady things and gardening. And then all of a sudden, her neighbor's two pit bulls came out of nowhere and attacked her and started dismembering her in front of her disabled husband, who was there in a wheelchair. And it turns out that the dogs were on cocaine.
God, this just pisses me off so bad. So, before all you crazy pitbull people get all on us, that's how it was reported in People magazine, as them being pit bulls. So, because I know that a lot of people who own pit bulls think they're like the sweetest teddy bears in the world, and they're not actually really a breed, and they get bullied. So, just putting it out there that we're not the ones saying it. It's been reported in the news. But like, it's pretty hard to deny the fact that that particular type of dog is listed in 90% of these cases. And I know that other dogs bite people. A lot of time pit bull owners will say chihuahuas bite people more than pit bulls do, but chihuahuas also don't dismember people. So let's keep that in mind. I I'm not a fan of these dogs at all. I don't want my kids anywhere near them. So if you want to have one and you want to have one next to your babies and all that stuff, like that's totally fine. I understand that it's not the dog's fault that they act like this, that their owners are assholes, like leaving cocaine around for the dogs to have access to it, but it doesn't change the fact that they have the potential to be vicious and can hurt people. And it really pisses me off when it's cases like this where this wasn't this woman's dog. She was just living at her house, being outside, enjoying being an old person, and they killed an innocent woman. And I mean, imagine being like, this is my parents' age. Like, imagine just like finding out that my mom was outside gardening, which would never happen, by the way. So I guess we're safe there.
Yeah.
But my dad's sitting out there, and all of a sudden, some dog comes up to her and starts like ripping her arms off right in front of my father. Like, the trauma for my father to experience that, the trauma for me to experience that, like, and my brother and sister just, and everybody that knows us, it's just completely doesn't even need to happen because you don't need to have these dogs. Like, people oftentimes get them because they think that makes them look like a badass or something, and like you have they've had problems with these dogs, these particular people, to
Well,
the point.
this situation was extremely preventable because there had been many reports to the homeowners association about the dogs being a problem, and then a judge had eventually ordered. This was just a couple weeks before this woman was attacked, that a judge had ordered for them to get rid of the dogs or like rehome them or whatever, but they didn't do that. And then a week after that, the cops get called because of the dogs again. And then animal control allegedly, according to this family, didn't step in and take the proper precautions. And then after that is when the old lady got attacked. So the family is suing the homeowners association, the animal control, and the home, or not the homeowners, the owners of the dogs, rightfully so, in my opinion.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I just can't even imagine what. And listen, like, the dogs ended up getting shot and killed by police, and it's certainly not the dog's fault, and it's freaking terrible. It's just like I don't know. It's just so terrible when you hear these kinds of stories, and I just feel really bad for the family. I think people, the homeowners association and stuff, it's just like, I don't know how, if they ordered them to do it and they didn't do it, I don't know what control they have over that. Like, can they send, because I believe animal control officers are actually have the ability to like arrest people when they're mistreating animals, or they're right. So I don't understand, like, as soon as they didn't, if they checked and said that they didn't remove the dogs, like, why they didn't go in and take action then. But I'm not really sure uh,
Well, we
of
don't know
what
all the
rules they have.
details. We don't
Yeah.
know all the details of what happened. Like, were they contacted? Did they definitely show up or did they not show up? Like, what happened? So I think this is really unfortunate in general, and the fact that like all these people were calling and reporting it and that these people weren't doing the right thing is disgusting. I mean, they were found guilty of involuntary manslaughter, but now they're going to face this civil suit too from the family, which they should.
Yeah, I mean, but like, who cares? Like, it's not changing the situation.
No, it definitely
And
doesn't.
I, I mean, I don't even know. I am assuming that this cocaine just further. I mean, you've heard of things like this happening with these types of dogs that don't have any cocaine in their body, and they were saying that the cops shot the dog, and the dog still went, like, got up and went back to the lady, and still was like mauling her body.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean,
think of a
dismembered,
human.
like, that's freaking nuts.
Think about how erratic a human acts on cocaine, let alone a dog.
I can't even imagine again, like, another situation where the cops and first responders, like, showing up and seeing like a woman being ripped apart by dogs. Like, how traumatic is that?
I know,
And
seriously.
just God, they're poor kids, like, hearing about this. It's just fucking terrible. So, um, so this, I get this, I get a lot of emails from different medical associations, and there was this interesting one that I read about sharing your medical information on AI that I thought that we'd talk about because it's been in the news lately.
Yeah, so I guess Elon Musk put out like some public message that he was encouraging people to share their medical records with his AI on X called Grok. And is that how you pronounce it?
I assumed that's what it was.
Okay, so regardless, he wanted people to share their medical records with this AI system because he thinks that he's going to try to teach it to like learn all of the scans and how to maybe eventually diagnose these problems. But this ethicist is coming forward saying that this really isn't a good idea because it's not really a controlled group. You could have people uploading fake documents. You could only have a certain population. Like, specifically, he was saying white males are the primary users of X, so you only have like one certain demographic uploading their records to it. There's privacy concerns.
So I think that in general, in my opinion, AI is a lot of people are scared of it. We're all scared of it, but at this point it's here. And I look at it as just being another tool. So for example, when I was in school, it was and this was like college because I didn't even have there was no internet or Google by the time I was, out of high school. But when I first went to college for cytology and we had to if we ever had to write papers or anything like that, it was like you can't use Google as a reference. I don't even know if you remember that, but because that probably didn't even happen in your lifetime, but it was like, yeah, Google is not a reference. You need to go to the library and like actually write down whatever book you got this information from. And now it's like nobody, like people rarely do that anymore. It's like everything is Google. AI is just another tool in the toolbox if it's used correctly, just to help people do their work, because Google was considered cheating. Like, of course, it's easy. Like, if I just want to look something up, it could pop up on my computer. I don't even need to get in the car and go to the library and look up anything. It's cheating, right? Um, so I think a lot of medical professionals are a little bit threatened by the technology, just as singers and actors are, because they don't want to be replaced. And when you see how intelligent some of these things can be, it is almost scary that they are able to come up with similar results. So I guess Elon was saying that if you type in all of your symptoms and put in your blood work and stuff, it could give you a diagnosis when there's times that doctors can't give you a diagnosis, which I believe is 100% true. That is completely possible. But at the same time, when you upload your blood results, you're uploading a document usually that you've gotten from your doctor or from a lab that has critical information on it: your name, your address, your date of birth, and your medical record number, sometimes your social security number. And so right there, you always have to be concerned about that, because what's happening with these things that you're uploading? Like, we don't have any clear-cut answer of what's happening. And I guess this guy was comparing it to 23andMe, where people were donating not donating, they were putting in their DNA to find out their ancestry, and then all of a sudden they went bankrupt, and it was like, well, what's happening with all that information now? It's not protected. And the scary thing is that people that run all of these tech companies, the thing that they say always is worth the most amount of money is your information that they want to have, so they could build analytics based upon that. So there's just like so much more to it. So I think that I like the idea of AI for medical stuff. I almost think that it would be better for physicians to run it through, because it's just like I said, it's another tool that could possibly help them. Because you can't sit there and say, well, the AI is wrong sometimes, because guess what? Doctors are wrong a lot of times too. So that's not a thing. But some of the things to take into consideration, for example, like, let's say a physician's looking at a pathology report from colon cancer, or not even a physician, but a PA like myself or whatever. We could look at all the information based upon what it looked like, and then look at the slides and be able to tell like what stage of the cancer it was and what the grade is, and all of that stuff. That is because when we look at this, that's our education looking at it, right? Let's say, Maria, you get diagnosed with colon cancer and you have a pathology report and you have access to like 10 pictures of slides that came along with that case. How do you know which slide to put in to Grok to say, okay, this is the one that you need to look at and tell me what it is. Like,
Well, this
as a
is what
regular person, like, would you know even which picture to put up in there?
I wouldn't, and I agree with you where you're saying if you had doctors uploading this information, I think it could be really beneficial, but there certainly is a problem with the public just doing it because A, lay people don't know what they're looking at. B, you have the inevitable asshole that's going to upload something fake. So like that then that's going to do a bunch of damage to the system. I think it could be really beneficial if you had the right people doing it in a more controlled environment, but just having the internet, which is like the Wild West, just like upload whatever they want. I don't think that's such a good idea.
I mean, it is. It just worries me because let's say, for example, you had these 10 pictures of a colon cancer case and you just uploaded like a random one. Well, it might actually tell you that you don't even have cancer because some of the slides that we put through for colon cancer cases are just like a representative section of benign tissue just so the pathologist knows like what their colon normally looks like. So what if you upload that particular picture and it's like you actually don't have cancer? Like there, this is the problem with that. On the other hand, I understand the frustration because I've had a lot of friends and stuff that like one of my best friends actually is going through this right now that like she's having all these symptoms and her blood tests are like kind of random and very non-specific and nobody could tell her what's been going on with her body and she might feel like she would want to put it in because maybe the computer might pick up something that the doctor's not picking up. Because I'll tell you what, a lot of times doctors just have a really hard time putting two and two together to come up with a diagnosis. So I think in that respect that it's good. I would be scared of your privacy information because let's say for example, so right now recently I just had one of my kids got diagnosed with scoliosis and we had to do the whole back brace thing and everything. So I've been like Google searching just different things if there's any support groups or anything for kids her age and this and that. So I'm on Google doing that and then all of a sudden I go on Facebook and I start getting ads for like scoliosis back braces and stuff. Like that's kind of fucked up. Like they're
Well,
they're
yeah.
they're going to use your information to try to sell you stuff. And I mean and this is not just for medical stuff, it's for anything, but you see how other companies are using your search information to sell you stuff.
I mean, my Facebook thinks I have mesothelioma because of when we wrote about the asbestos city a couple months ago.
So
Think about this.
exactly, like it's that's the kind of stuff that you need to worry about. And when you're doing that, there's like you're not even checking off a box that says like, "Hey, I'm allowing you to use whatever," because there's like no rules with it right now because it's so brand new. I do think, and I'll say this again, like I think that there's certain doctors that just feel really intimidated by this technology. Um, I was actually surprised when I started my Instagram like 12 years ago now that a lot of doctors and medical people were kind of really pissed off that I was showing some of these images on the internet because they thought like this is only for medical people. Like, why would you be teaching regular people this? Because doctors sometimes have this complex that they like are these holy beings that know more than the average person or something. I don't know. But regardless, uh, I think that a part of it is you got to kind of like listen to these experts because they're just like, "Oh no, there's no way that this technology could possibly ever replace a doctor," which in fact it probably could at some point one day, which is really scary, but
I don't agree
that's
with that.
reality.
I don't agree that AI could completely replace doctors.
Not
You need
completely,
a
but
human element behind
you
all technology.
you need a human element, but it could cut a lot in between. That's
It could
all
cut
I'm
a
trying
lot
to
in
say.
between, but like people are like arguing that, like robots and AI are going to completely take over these industries with no human involvement at all. It's just not possible. They
But let
can't
me
run
let me
themselves.
just give you an example though. So back in the day, like when you worked in the lab, you were actually a chemist. You sat there and you mixed chemicals together in blood and tried to diagnose things and all. And then all of a sudden, so that took a lot of work, a lot of employees, and a lot of like really smart people to be able to do that stuff and figure it out. And now it's just like, oh, now you could just send the blood down to the lab and a person has to stick it on a machine. And yes, like a person needs to know if the machine isn't working right or if the machine is wrong, but like the machine's doing all of the brain work in that situation.
But
So
Elizabeth Holmes invented a machine for blood testing that was giving inaccurate results, and if real people weren't analyzing those, they would have never
that
figured out she was a
I'm saying
fraud.
that, but that one real person could analyze that instead of the 15 you would need to do the actual test. So I like it cuts out a lot of people. It just shortens it. Like there's machines right now that could read pap smears. So it's like, well, why would you employ six cytotechs to be looking at pap smears that are allowed to read 100 slides a day, where you could stick those 600 slides in a machine and have one cytotech overlooking it? Like it cuts out multiple positions and the need for people in a lot of senses, but not completely.
Yeah, I guess time will tell, but I feel like we're gonna totally do a 360 and go back to like no social media, no technology because it's so detrimental in so many ways.
Yeah, the problem is that it's a legit addiction, but I agree with you. Like there are times that I have these like breaks that I'm just like, you know what? Like maybe I should just go to Cricket and get a flip phone and just not not be connected to this thing like this, you know?
Yeah. All right, let's move on to questions of the day. Every Friday at the Mother Knows Death Instagram account, you guys can head over to our story and ask us whatever you want. 1. What are some good questions to ask a person before they die?
I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on who the person is, right?
Yeah, because I
I
would
mean,
say
what
if it was like your significant other or something, you want to know like, all the access to everything you need to know to run your household, like bills and tax information, retirement,
that
stuff
sounds
like that.
very shallow.
It's
I
shallow,
was
but
I
if
was
you
thinking
already know
more
their
like, do did you have the best life with me?
well, I think if you knew the person was dying to be asking them questions, you've
Maria's
already
just like, yeah, bye. What's your fucking passwords?
I have a death folder.
Now we know. Now
So,
we know how you feel. But like, let's say for example, when like Robert Wagner and Christopher Walker are on their deathbed, you might want to actually ask them what happened with Natalie Wood, right? Or like Casey Anthony and her parents, like what really happened to Kaylee Anthony, right? They're like people you actually want to ask questions to on their deathbed. I think
well,
it just is all
obviously you're going to ask
situational.
questions about their life. But I'm saying you have to be practical too.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I have a death folder, so you don't have to worry
Oh
about
my
that.
God, you're such a crazy person.
I'm not a crazy person. It's practical. If I died, I pay all the bills and I do everything. Like I need to tell everybody where to access my shit. So I don't know. Whatever. All right. Are you both organ donors?
Yes.
3. I live in Cape May County. What's your favorite restaurant to go to from OC to Cape May?
Well, unfortunately, I'm going to tell you this, that my favorite restaurant down the shore, because I would consider down the shore to be anywhere from Atlantic City to Cape May. So my favorite restaurant is Cafe 2825 in Atlantic City, is like hands down the best Italian restaurant that I've ever been to, probably. But there is a runner up that's more like old school Italian, and that's near you in Cape May County. That's called Nino's. I love that place. Remember we went there for my
Yeah.
birthday this year? Yeah, that place is awesome. Um, what about Ocean City Boardwalk? Our favorite place is Bashful Banana.
Yeah, Bashful
That
Banana,
which is
so
like
good.
seems I don't know why, but it always seems like I end up on the boardwalk on a Tuesday night and they're not open that night, and it just like ruins my life. So I would say that that is um probably my favorite place. But I mean I love Manco pizza too, obviously, but they don't really have good gluten-free crust, and like I can't, the one that they have is kind of like so I don't eat it anymore, unfortunately. Um and we stay at the Virginia Hotel in Cape May when we for our anniversary, and there's the Ebbet room that's there. That's like our fancy dining out once a year. It's pretty expensive, but it's really good.
I'm trying to find this coffee shop I went to in Ocean City that was so good. I literally went there every single day when
Really?
we were down there. Yeah, they had. Hold on, of course my
Oh,
phone's not
that
working.
one in Cape May, Ostara, it's called. That's my favorite one there too. They have really good gluten-free treats, but their chai lattes are so good. They're like, I feel like they make their own chai or something. It's like extra spicy and delicious. So that place, I love that place too.
You know what I really love, which is like not an unpopular opinion, is Lobster House. I think it's just such a classic old school restaurant. Every time I've
I
eaten
don't know
there,
if
it's
I've
been so
actually
good.
ever been there.
Oh my god. It's like it's similar to the pub in the sense of being an old school steakhouse, but it's really good. And they have a lot of seafood, obviously, but they have really good drinks. They have really good steak. I love every time we go there. I also love Uncle Bill's. I know it's a chain, but their breakfast is so good, and they have really good gluten-free pancakes there.
I don't know if I've ever been there either.
Oh my god, you're like not hitting all the good shore
Listen,
spots.
when we go to the Virginia Hotel, they have breakfast that you get every day, and it's so delicious. It's from that beach plum place. You
Oh, I
know?
love that
Yeah,
place.
it's like really good. So we never get breakfast. We just go out and get coffee while we're there.
Oh my god,
So
I cannot find the name of this coffee shop to
it's in
save my
is it
life.
on the boardwalk?
No, it's like near the inlet.
Oh, I don't know. We like rarely travel off some boardwalk, honestly.
Hold on, I'm getting closer. Oh,
So-
it's called Aneu. ANEU. I think they're only open seasonally. But they had this rose latte. I got it literally every single day we were there last year. And then they had really good gluten-free pastries. They also had like chicken cutlets and quiche and ice cream and all this other stuff too.
Oh, yum. All right, so who that listener, please write us back and tell us what you like, because we're always, we don't live down there, so, and we just keep going back to our regulars. So if there's like really good places, let us know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other places. I definitely love the Beach Plum. There's also a winery which is right next to the Beach Plum. I don't know what it's called off the top of my head. It's like this big yellow building. They have really good food, and their wine's really good too.
Oh, I really like that place on the boardwalk too that sells the lobster rolls, because they have a gluten-free version. They just put the lobster in a cup. I mean, it doesn't have the delicious buttery roll with it, but it's still so good. I think it's called like Quincy's or something.
Yeah.
You know that little like shacky building with the stripes on the roof? Yeah.
Yeah, but we love going down there. I'm not really a beach person, but I like the shore atmosphere.
Yeah, like, and you know what's weird? So in Ocean City, it's a boardwalk with two major piers that have rides on it for the kids, and now this year they closed one of them down that's been there for almost 100 years. And I'm really actually frightened to see what's going to happen this summer, because that means that all the people that were on those rides are now going to go to the other one, and it's going to be even more crowded. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like, it's already like borderline too people-y for me, and I just like, I can't deal with that. So I hope it doesn't ruin it.
All right, well, thank you guys so much. We hope you have a good weekend. Please leave us a 5-star written review on Apple, and if you have a story for us, please submit it at stories@motherknowsdeath.com.
Thanks. Have a good weekend. Thank you for listening to Mother Knows Death. As a reminder, my training is as a pathologist assistant. I have a master's level education and specialize in anatomy and pathology education. I am not a doctor, and I have not diagnosed or treated anyone, dead or alive, without the assistance of a licensed medical doctor. This show, my website, and social media accounts are designed to educate and inform people based on my experience working in pathology, so they can make healthier decisions regarding their life and well-being. Always remember that science is changing every day, and the opinions expressed in this episode are based on my knowledge of those subjects at the time of publication. If you are having a medical problem, have a medical question, or are having a medical emergency, please contact your physician or visit an urgent care center, emergency room, or hospital. Please rate, review, and subscribe to Mother Knows Death on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get podcasts. Thanks.